What do we have today in the studio? We have the brand new Falcon Eyes DM2. This is a Fresnel light that allows you to focus this incredibly bright LED light. And compared to the Arri L5 that costs $3,000, this thing is a bargain. Now, over the years here at Fstoppers, we've had a couple of these Falcon Eyes lights show up in our studio, and I have to say they've been incredibly useful as we build up our sets or we do photo shoots where we need to light the subject or even use it as a hot light. Having something like this is incredibly useful. Now, many of the constant lights that we've reviewed in the past have been pretty small and they're great for lighting up little sets, but we have a much larger set here, and I can see where something like this is going to be pretty useful because we may want hard light to emulate maybe the sunlight or light coming in from the side, or we just need a light that can illuminate a huge scene. This is going to be pretty handy. Now, right now I'm being lit by the Falcon Eyes DS811, and it's a much smaller light. It's about 12 inches by 12 inches. It produces a little bit softer light, but it's not nearly as powerful as something like this DM2. Now, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, this light is probably most comparable to the Arri L5. That light is over $3,000, and in many cases, this is as powerful or even more powerful depending on the zoom setting that you choose. Now, this is a Fresnel light, which means you can zoom this in and out. And at the widest angle, this is going to give you about a 30-degree field of view, and at the tightest angle, it's about 50. Now, compared to the $3,000 Arri light, it doesn't give you quite as big of a range, but I find at 30 millimeters, it's pretty useful for a big space, and at 50 millimeters, it's giving you a pretty tight, narrow beam. Now, it wasn't too long ago where all of these lights were simply, 5,000 Kelvin or maybe 3,200 Kelvin, and then you started getting the bicolor lights where you could actually change the white balance, and that was a huge, huge improvement. But now, in 2022, we have lights that are RGB plus W, which means that I can set this light to literally any color I can imagine, or I can use this more traditionally with the normal Kelvin scale if I'm just trying to light a normal interview set like this. This is so incredibly useful that at this point, I would not buy any bicolor lights. In fact, all I want in my studio now are these RGBW lights. Now, if we go into the menu here, there's 4 different lighting modes. The first one that you're gonna be most familiar with is white mode. In the white mode, you can set this all the way down to 2,800 Kelvin, which is gonna give you really warm kind of end of the daylight. And with an easy rotation of the knob, you can go all the way to 5,000 Kelvin, which is about daylight. And if we keep going, this thing goes all the way to 10,000 Kelvin, which is probably pretty useful if you wanted to emulate maybe moonlight, or if you're trying to light somebody who's in deep shadows, you can really correct that white balance perfectly. The next mode is RGB mode. You guys are probably familiar with this. We can literally change this light to any color we can imagine. That's gonna be really useful if you're trying to get creative on set, or if you're trying to match light with your gels. If you're doing a video shoot and you're shooting with gels, you can get this light to be perfect. We can also go down to HSI mode. In this mode, we can further adjust the light so that we can get it specifically designed for maybe another set or another set of lights that you're using. And then finally, the most interesting mode that this has is gel mode. And if I go into gel mode, I can apparently set this to different common Roscoe and Lee gels. Let's go down to Lee lights. Let's go to full CT blue, medium pink. As you can see, you can quickly reference colors. And I think this is gonna be really handy if you're the type of videographer who needs to match this light to another gelled light. Or if you're like me and you don't always remember the exact Kelvin temperature that you set a light, you could come down here and choose a Roscoe light setting that you'll always remember, and you can quickly access that straight through this menu. Another thing that's pretty unique about the DM2 is, unlike other lights that we have that have the controller separate and they sit on the ground, this thing's entirely enclosed in the unit itself. The nice thing about this is you can literally take the power cable, plug it into the wall, and you don't have anything else lying around to get scratched or beat up or have to look after. The downside is that it does make this head a lot heavier. This thing weighs about 17 pounds, and for a light of this size, that's actually pretty heavy. The Arri L5 weighs about 11 pounds. But if you have a light stand that you can mount this to easily, or in our case, we might be mounting this permanently up in the rafters for a set like this, I think it's a lot more convenient to have it all built into one unit and not have the pack and the head to have to deal with. Now, as primarily a stills photographer, I've never had to use the DMX input or output settings. This does have those connectors here, but since we have this nice big studio here, I think we might permanently set up some lights like this, and I could see where it'd be really convenient to control everything through a DMX controller. Now, if you don't want to use DMX to control these lights, say you're out on location a lot and you don't want to have to carry even more gear with you, this light can be controlled straight from your phone using Bluetooth. This is probably going to be really useful if you have your light permanently set up, or if it's kind of out of reach and you don't want to lower the light from the stand, you can control it straight from your phone. Just like the $3,000 Arri light, this also has a CRI value of 95, which means both lights are going to produce really nice broad spectrum light no matter what you set it to. Over the last few weeks, we've had this light here in the studio, and I have to say, it has been very convenient lighting a much larger set than what I'm used to lighting. We've done some photo challenges where I might just need broad light that lights up the whole studio. It's been great for that. We've done some interviews where we're lighting up 3, maybe even 4 people in the same room, and I can just set this light way in the back, fire it on the entire scene, and it looks great. And if you have a dog that's always jumping in your scene, it's perfect for lighting them too. Isn't that right? Isn't that right? Now, there are a few caveats that I've noticed using this light. The first one is compared to the other Falcon Eyes lights that we have, the LED screen on the back seems a little pixelated. It's not really pixelated. It's almost like they've put a plastic over the LCD screen, and it's kind of got a frosted look. So the text, while incredibly easy to read, isn't quite as sharp as some of the other lights that we've had in the studio. Another thing I've noticed is for a light that has a Fresnel lens in it that helps you focus, this light isn't quite as bright as some of the other lights that we've had. This means if you want to use this light outside, it's probably not going to compete with natural light. If you like bouncing the light into the ceiling to produce soft light from above, it'll probably work pretty well if your ceilings are 8 feet tall and you get the light pretty close. But in a studio space like this where our ceiling's vaulted, it's probably not going to do much of anything. So you're really going to need to buy the softbox and use that to soften the light. Speaking of softboxes, Falcon Eyes requires that you buy their own softbox, which I believe mounts into a speed ring permanently. I don't actually have that softbox to test, so I can't tell you exactly what it looks like, but I think it would be great if Falcon Eyes released their own speed ring that you could use with all of your light modifiers that would mount to this. But at the moment, it appears you have to buy the Octabox that has the speed ring built into it, and you can't use that with any of the light modifiers that you already own. Now, with those few little complaints out of the way, I think this light is an incredible value at just $1,000 for a really powerful LED light that can change to every color under the spectrum. It has the color gel preset saved into it, and you can use this as a traditional white light and set the color balance to whatever you want. This thing is incredibly useful. If you're a videographer that just wants one really powerful light that you can throw in the back of your car and have it for an indoor shoot, or if you're a photographer who might like to use color in their work, or maybe you have a white wall or white seamless that you shoot on all the time and you're just looking to change the color, this light might be the perfect light for you. If you enjoy review videos like this, make sure you subscribe to our channel below. Also hit that notification bell so that you know when a new video comes out. If you prefer reading articles about photography and videography, head over to fstoppers.com where we feature articles every single day. And if you're getting into photography or you're looking to specialize, head over to fstoppers.com/store where you can check out our full-length tutorials from some of the best photographers in the world. But in the meantime, why don't I blind you with a little peacock blue. See you guys soon.